Hello, I'm Don Moores, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. School has started for the 160,000 students attending Montgomery County Public Schools, and everything at the beginning of the school year apparently went smoothly. Jane DeWinter, who comments for this program on a regular basis, has news about what we can expect this year from our school system. The September issue of the Beacon newspaper is full of news we all can benefit from, including stories about health, money, travel, and housing, and so much more. Stuart Rosenthal, editor and publisher of The Beacon, will tell us what to look for in this month's issue, as well as talk about the second of the health expos run by The Beacon. NARF, the National Active and Retired Federal Employees Association, has supported its members in their efforts to deliver needed services to all of us. Bruce Fowler, a member of NARF, will tell us about what is happening to our civil service these days. Montgomery County Muslim Foundation is a new program in our area that has coincided with the opening of school and works with MANA and other organizations in our community. Tuvel Ahmed, a member of the foundation, will explain. It is so good to see you, Jane.
Thank you.
So tell us, so many new things coming up. We've got a new IT system, or new kind of back channel system of online. We've got so much. So tell us. I don't want to.
Okay, so it's actually, the school system thinks it's almost 161,000.
Okay, over 160,000.
Yeah, so which is about a 2,300 increase from last year, and is also like the most kids ever in the school system. A new middle school opened in the BCC cluster, which is Silver Creek Middle School in Kensington. The town of Kensington.
Okay.
And you mentioned the new data or online portal.
Right.
And so parents out in the community, as well as teachers, have been familiar with something called Edline, which was a way of, teachers posting assignments, emailing parents as well as students able to log on and see their assignments and grades, and parents able to log on. And that's been replaced by something called My MCPS. So everybody is switching to a new system, staff, teachers.
Does that mean anything for us, for everybody, or is it just a different
well, the one thing that will be different is that, obviously if you don't have a child, that's not going to impact you, but it will be different for the schools overall because it's also giving them new access to doing data reports. And that all of the staff will be able to pull data from a central database more than you used to have to make requests. Another thing that people will notice, and that usually the school calendar does impact people even if they don't have kids in the system, is because of the action of Governor Hogan with saying that school had to start after Labor Day, whatever. In order to get that 180 days in there, the school system started with a whole week, 7 days of pre-service.
So teachers couldn't go to Ocean City. It was just for the kids.
No, teachers could not go to Ocean City.
What about kids whose parent, maybe a parent was a teacher? Could they? Because it was all about spending money.
Well,
in Ocean City.
I mean, I can't, well.
Jane, I'm concerned about this.
Well, it's kind of like, it's like prom week in the end of August. I mean, not prom, beach week in the end of August. But the one thing that people will see, I mean, if you're not a teacher, so what if teachers had to go in there the last week of August? But what it's going to mean for the school calendar is that there's more half days.
That's really disruptive. If you've got two parents who are working and someone's going to have to take off, that's horrible. I
know. I mean, the school system has really gone from 15 years ago having about 10 half days in the calendar down to just 4 or 5, like before Thanksgiving, the last day.
What are we going to have now?
And now I believe this year there is either 8 or 9. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Is there an option for staying after school in some kind of a program, or that's?
Well, for half days, I mean, if you're in a daycare, if you're already in the school, the daycare that's at a school, then yeah, those daycares usually operate on the
aftercare, the
half
after school.
days. But
Right.
yeah, but there'll
Okay.
be a lot of scrambling. And the reason why is because you got to give it that 180 days in that window. A half day will count as one of the 180.
Oh.
Even, you know, but a day off, you put 2 half days together, that's a day off, that doesn't count.
The
So,
shell game.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Is there any thought being given to distance learning for people who can't go into school? In other words, I'm wondering about having the classroom come to people at home. We have the electronic means to do this.
Right. Well, they've done. There's a little bit of talk about it, but I don't see that that's actively coming to the school system. There are, you know, sometimes when kids have to be homeschooled or because of illness or something like that, there might be some connections there, but.
Let me ask you a quick question. You know, the politics and civility levels, the politics, the anger out and civility seems to have gone down. Do you see any changes that Montgomery County Public Schools are putting in to try to ensure that this lack of civility that seems to be out there right now in our overall nation, it doesn't seep into our schools? Anything that they're doing to make sure that people respect one another?
Well, I mean, there was a number of things, you know, like in the spring with, you know, kind of clashes really with students, you know, different groups of students. And I think that, you know, hopefully that is quelled down. I mean, I think by the end of the school year, that was definitely not as heated as it was in December and January and February. But, yeah, I mean, I think that the school system is continually, you know, trying to focus on, you know, respecting diverse opinions, having people work together, you know.
More important
It's a
today, more
shared
than we got
value.
about 30 seconds. What do you want
Yeah.
to share with us? What are we doing?
The
What don't we know?
superintendent is doing Leadership Montgomery. He's on his retreat right now, so he'll be getting, over the course of this year, he'll be getting a much more in-depth look at Montgomery County, and I don't know what impact that will have, but he will get to know a lot of kind of other leaders in the community, which is always a good thing.
Well, you know, my classmate was our classmate was a former superintendent during the time, and it greatly expanded his world and understanding. That's what Leadership Montgomery does.
Yes,
And that's
yeah.
good. Jane, good place to end. Thank you so much, and look forward to hearing more updates as the
Okay.
as the year goes on. Stuart,
Done.
congratulations on the first Health Expo.
We don't actually call it a Health Expo, which is 50 plus, because it's a little more broad than that. But yes, it does have a lot of health elements to it. I'm sorry to
50 plus. Well,
disappoint
I
you.
don't know. I was thinking about health, but health because you're looking at auctions, you're looking at
Well,
all
and
sorts
our,
of
and our
things.
exhibitors are also nonprofits and government agencies of all kinds,
Right.
and then elder care attorneys and financial
I
planners.
don't
and
appreciate
travel
being
guides.
shot down right away. No, it's perfect.
trying to keep you honest.
So how did it go? How did the Silver Spring
Oh, it was
go?
very, very nice, very well attended, and we also had a lot of appraisals because this is the first year we've ever done that. Our keynote speaker is Matt Quinn of Quinn's Antiques and Auction, and so he's talking about how do you determine what's of value in your attic or your basement, and he brought his whole staff with him to do appraisals on the spot, verbal appraisals of items that people brought with them. So we had a line of people carrying their paintings and their pottery and whatnot to show.
So what was the most valuable thing that they
There
found?
was this really ugly painting by a Cuban artist that he said is worth $20,000 to $30,000, and they were flabbergasted.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
I
it's,
want to
it's
know
fun.
what the weirdest thing is that somebody brought in.
You'll have to ask Matt that. I didn't see
Oh.
them all.
So what were some other high points? Because
Oh, well,
we're
of course.
looking ahead in Virginia
Right.
next week, right?
This event's going to
Next
be
week.
this Sunday, the 17th,
Right.
from noon to 4 at Springfield Town Center.
Okay.
And as always, we're going to have CVS providing flu shots, both the regular and the high dose for those 65 and older. We'll have health screenings, glaucoma and blood pressure screenings. We'll have the appraisals, and we'll have all of the exhibitors that we always have. So it's going to be a very nice afternoon, lots of things to do for people.
Did you learn anything yourself?
That's a good question. I learned some stuff from Matt, yeah. As a matter of fact, what he's pointing out is that the things that people tend to think have a lot of value because our parents thought they had a lot of value, the old inlaid furniture and
Right.
Hummel figurines, they're worth nothing today. You can't hardly give them away. And the stuff that people think, well, I'm going to throw that thing away, it's an old stereo, whatever, that's worth a fortune. So
Wow.
it's all different. This generation's buyers are looking for completely different things than our parents were. So.
You were talking about hearing loss.
Yes, in our paper we have an article about cochlear implants. Now, You've probably heard of these before. For years, they've been used for people who are deaf from birth or from illness or something like that. And it's an implant in the back of behind the ear, and it goes with electrodes into the brain, and it bypasses the inner ear, which has been damaged and which is causing the deafness, and goes right into the brain. And it's very useful for people who are completely deaf. Well, they've discovered now that it's actually useful for very many people who just have, hard of hearing. That they can't find.
I mean, growing old.
Yeah, well, that
Just
or illness or
Don't say that.
accident or something.
Right.
But there are who, when you have, in fact, young people who listen to too much loud music.
Right.
The little hairs inside our inner ear, which is what pick up all the different frequencies.
yeah.
So they die off with too much use or too much noise or whatever decibel level. So this bypasses that part entirely, and lets people hear again.
I know somebody who has congenital loss of hearing.
Yes.
And they hear,
have
they
that.
wear in both the ears.
And it's good for
So
them.
will it help them?
Oh yeah, well yes, absolutely, yeah. That's what it's
Have
for.
them call Stuart.
Yeah, sure.
He's got
I
a
will take
back
his
office
paper
operation.
and
He's got a truck.
On the side.
Okay. Tell us about other stories.
Oh, okay. Let's see, in our money section, we have an article about how to not be ripped off for car repairs. And, people know that they should, get a good mechanic, they should get somebody trustworthy, they should ask their friends who they use, it's good.
Right.
But another suggestion, which I hadn't known about before, is a website called repairpal.com.
Okay.
And these people have, on the website, you put in the make of your car, what the problem is that you're having fixed, and where you live. And it'll tell you what reputable places in your area are charging for that kind of service. So you can see if your mechanic is overcharging or
Is that a
undercharging.
free website?
It's free, yeah. I
You
believe
have
it's a
to
free
subscribe?
website.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it's a very useful service. I mean, they get paid by the people who
Yeah,
are
yeah.
promoted, but yeah, apparently they check them out. So that's an interesting thing you can do.
Travel. Where are you taking us this month?
China. In fact, our grand door
Ni
prize
hao.
at our
Ni hao,
expo.
ma.
My knees are fine, thank you. The expo grand door prize is a trip for 10 days to China. So in conjunction with that, we are having 2 stories on China. One is a regular travel feature, what kinds of things you want to see and do. And the other is written by the travel columnist Ed Perkins, who we have every month, talking about how to do it on your own, which is really sort of shocking. But he says, even if you don't know Chinese, you've never been there before,
You can
here are
still-
tips for getting by
Absolutely.
on your own, which is really sort of cool.
Are you giving away a trip at each
Yes,
expo?
at each expo or trip.
Oh.
Yeah,
So show up to Springfield.
show up to Springfield.
One of the most
fill out the
disturbing things I
registration.
found in China, and I used to have to work and travel to China a lot,
Right.
was that rice did not come with the food.
My goodness.
And rice is a sign that if you're asking for rice, it means that the rest of the food wasn't enough in most of China.
Seriously?
So yeah, so it's a great.
I thought it was
Insult.
a staple that everybody
no,
ate
in
in every
in
meal.
the south of China, but then it's terrible. It's a slap in the face. What do you want? You didn't think it was enough?
That's very interesting.
Oh, it's great. Let's talk about that.
Next
in the
time I
next
go,
issue.
I'll have to. Yeah.
We have about 45 seconds. What more do you want to talk
Let's see. We talked about travel. Oh, housing. You mentioned housing. We don't actually have a housing section this month, but next month in our October issue, we have a housing section pull out. Lots of very interesting stories going to be in that section. On all aspects of whether you're staying in your home and want to refit it to age in place, or whether you want to move and you're trying to figure out how to downsize, all kinds of things. So I encourage people to pick up the October issue of the Beacon after you've read the September one in a few weeks and learn about the
One
housing.
final health ditty. We've got about 10 seconds
Oh,
left.
that's,
But we don't know.
what was that one? Vertigo. How to avoid that sort of sense of losing your balance and whatnot. There's some interesting things in there on vertigo.
Fantastic. Stuart, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages. And we are back. Bruce Fowler, how are you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
It is great. You're doing so much. You're chairing the Government Relations Committee for NARF, for the district, for Maryland.
Maryland Federation,
Yeah,
yes.
and thank goodness you're doing all that work, because we've got, I know Steny Hoyer, Chris Van Hollen, Ben Cardin, Barbara Mikulski before, the rest of the congressional delegation. These are some of the strongest proponents
Yes.
of federal employees. They see dated every day how important the work is by these civil servants.
We are very blessed here in Maryland to have such a supportive delegation, as you point out. They're just great, every one of them. What NARF, National Association of Active and Retired Federal Employees, has decided to do is, Maryland NARF, is to produce a booklet to put a face on several of the federal employees in Maryland.
Great.
And what they do in the various agencies. And this is up. I think we have a blurb with the NARF website, if we could show it, where if people are interested going forward. But the bottom line is there are many, many agencies in Maryland, and Maryland is number 3 in the United States in number of federal employees.
Sure.
It's in the hundreds of thousands. And when I've shown this booklet to various people, they've read through it and said, gee, I didn't realize that there was this much going on and that you people were doing all these things.
So so what you're doing by giving these books and helping Chris Van Hollen and Ben Carton
Yes.
and Steny Hoyer and Jamie Raskin and the others, to be able to tell the story of their constituents.
That's correct. That's
And the individuals who serve all of us, whether helping to cure a disease or
Clean water.
or do all these other things that we do take for granted. Shoot rockets to space out of Goddard. I mean, our people do so amazing things.
They do,
So many
and
amazing.
there's some really amazing stories. I mean, I was in the federal government for many years, and some of this stuff I never
Sure.
realized was going on. Now, the other part of this, though, that I do want to get out is what's been happening to the federal employees over the last 10 years.
Before you get there, we're going to talk about that because it's been awful. But I know all of us have got some questions about this booklet.
Okay.
Maybe some of the interesting stories about people. Who's been profiled, or what are some things that stands out?
Well, there are just a number of things that you wouldn't think about. We have one of our members of our Rockville NARF chapter who was with the U.S. Department of Treasury, whose job was to go after money, people laundering money.
Sure.
Okay, and you don't realize how much potential for abuse there is in people shoveling money around and people not paying taxes on it. Her job was to run these people down.
Okay.
And another of our chapter members designed a very high-speed boat, the kind of thing that gets the SEALs to the beach in a hurry, 90 miles an hour on water. If you've ever ridden in a boat doing 40 miles an hour on water, you realize how fast that has to
Sure.
be and how to do that without tipping it over.
It seems, though, that when we hear about federal employees, it's usually in a negative light.
Yes.
And even if it's about individuals, it's about, Secret Service who are going into
President
hotels,
Kennedy
whatever.
lifted us up, and
yeah.
ever since then, it's just been knocking down. That's
Yeah, I mean, and or you hear about people, only the people, you don't hear the hero stories, you hear about the people who have done something wrong or even alleged to.
Yeah, or even
we do have
accused
about a
of
minute
it.
and a half
Yeah.
left. So
Okay,
we can
I
talk about
want to talk about a superstar who's leaving the federal government because of the current environment. And her name is Betsy Sutherland, and she is in 2015 won a presidential rank award, which they give maybe only 10 or 12 a year. So this is a superstar person, and I got to know her when she was in the Office of Solid Waste, but she's been in the Office of Water now. But she's leaving because I don't know the full story, but the environment wasn't hospitable, we'll say. So we're losing an ace, and we're all going to pay for this.
There's a lot of Betsy's around the government. We have 45 seconds left. Let's talk real quick. What do you see that needs to happen for the civil service to get back to where
Well,
we need to be?
this
really fast.
This booklet, which will be available from NARF, is an attempt to put forward to people what the federal employees are actually doing. And this is important not only for members of Congress, but for the average person, the average citizen, to realize, that this glass of water I'm drinking, or this highway I'm riding on, or this airplane I'm flying on, if these people didn't do the quality job that they're doing, this would be much, much less safe.
We'd be sicker.
Yeah.
Lives would be lost. Maybe life expectancy 40, 50 years instead of what it is today.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you so much, and I hope we'll continue this discussion.
We hope so.
All right, thank you. Salam alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Hey,
Yes.
how are you? It's wonderful to see you again, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, a great thing happened with the Muslim community in Montgomery County, an act of charity.
Right.
Around, but I'd like you to put it in context, if you could,
yeah.
because I don't think a lot of Americans and the community
Yes.
understand the 5 pillars of faith and the importance of
Right.
what you did within
Exactly.
the entire faith.
Okay. Now, so far as Islam is concerned, we have 5 pillars of Islam, which includes prayer, Ramadan, Hajj, charity, and one more thing I think. So in the whole context, charity is the most important. We are required to give as charity 2.5% of our total assets, excluding our home. 2.5% of your total cash which you have, valuables you have to give it as charity every year. Number one. Number two, most of it is given in the month of Ramadan, when you are fasting from morning till evening. You have to be very pious, very honorable, and most of the people give their charity in that month. But so far as Hajj is concerned,
And
it
what is the Hajj?
Hajj, basically Hajj is the what do you call it?
The pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage, yeah.
Yes, it is done every year in Makkah, which is the most prestigious or valuable place for Muslim in the whole world.
So,
and
so
they go,
the pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia, to Mecca in Saudi Arabia.
yes,
Yes.
In Makkah they go. There is a 4-wall structure, and they go around it 7 times, and then there is a stone there which is very valuable. This is called Hajar Aswad, which is a stone. They go and kiss it and do everything, and they go around and around, millions and millions of people. But it is all done in commemoration of Abraham, because he built that place, and his son and he built that place. And then so far as our sacrifice is concerned, it is linked with the Hajj, because Abraham took his son for sacrifice, because he was given the instruction from God. But instead of sacrificing his son, there was a lamb or something. His sacrifice was accepted, but a lamb was slaughtered, and it was all done. So in commemoration of that, all the Muslims in the world commemorate it, even today. Although Jews used to do it, Christians used to do it, but it still exists in our society. And so many animals are cut. So we started this program in our county in 2008, and we slaughtered only 1 cow, and we had only 500 pounds of meat. So we took it to Manna Food and said, please distribute it. So they announced it earlier that the meat will be coming. So there was a long line, and they all came and collected it. And they said, never in the history of Manna Food anybody ever donated raw meat to the poor people. You people are the first. That gave me so much confidence that at least we are doing something, which we are adding in Montgomery
When
County.
you do the sacrifice, and I don't want to sound ignorant, people might imagine that, okay, are you all standing around in a circle, or is it, is it at a butcher shop, or I mean, what?
No,
what's
no,
the
it is
actual
all done
mechanics?
in a
Yeah.
butcher shop.
Yeah.
This time we reduced the cost 30% by going at the border of Pennsylvania Avenue and Maryland. It is a butcher shop owned by a Tunisian. So we
it's all
gave,
halal.
It's all halal. It is all cut according to the Islamic faith, and it is all clean and stamped.
I was going to ask about halal. A lot of us don't know everything about halal. What is the tradition?
Halal is basically something is slaughtered in the name of God, rather than in the name of anybody. Because in India, the Hindus slaughtered in many names. So that was discarded in Islam. And they say it has to be sacrificed in the name of God. And that is why when they go and slaughter it in a certain way, it has to be halal. Because all the blood has to come out, and you have to bleed out the blood. Don't leave any blood in the meat. So that is the reason we only eat halal meat. There are so many butcher shops all around town selling halal, and it is so expensive. It is unbelievable. So we did it this year. We slaughtered 9 cows, 16 lambs. We collected $23,000 from our Muslim community. They donated, and we went and distributed in Impact Silver Spring, in Tacoma Park, Adventist Social Services, Educare Social Services. We went next day on
We have
Sunday.
15 seconds left.
Yeah, next day we went to Baltimore, Prince George's County, Washington D.C. Wherever we could find poor people, we distributed it. It was such a great. Thank you very much.
I can see the joy, and I think for all of us, thank you for
Thank
the
you.
contribution. That
Thank
you
you
look
very
forward to having you come back and continue, because
Hopefully,
these are
inshallah. Yes.
so wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank all of you. for being here today. This has been a great show. I want to thank all of you in the viewing audience. I feel like we're in Boston.
Yeah.
And the audience for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Moores. Please join us next week at this very same time.